G'day and welcome to Wine Week. I'm Danny.
And I'm Brad.
Episode 195.
Wow, who would have thought?
It's really bringing up big numbers now. We're trying to get to the double century.
200, we might have to do something special for 200.
I think we should. If you've got an idea, email us, send something on Twitter, send something on Facebook if you've got an idea for what we should do for the big 200.
100 was a pretty big episode with a lot of expensive wines in the 100.
A lot of very expensive wines in the 100. Maybe something like that. Maybe the super cheaps. Who knows? Give us your ideas. Anyhow, let's talk about episode 195 and a Chardonnay.
And a Chardonnay, and a very good value Chardonnay at that. Now, this is from Toolangi, which is a really fantastic producer of the Chardonnay grape in the Yarra Valley here in Victoria. In fact, the last one from Toolangi that we looked at was their estate Chardonnay, so that's their top of the range. Retail on that sort of mid-40s, but if you want something a little bit lighter on the hip pocket, then you might have a look at this one, which is their sort of blended Yarra Valley range, and this comes in at more the sort of mid-20s, and it is a really lovely Chardonnay. Even at that price, it should probably be a little bit more expensive. So this one, a little bit different. They take a couple of parcels of wine from a couple of different vineyards there, make it really nice sort of use of oak, a bit of French oak, spent a bit of time there, but certainly not too heavy-handed. And look, it has everything in balance that we like in the Chardonnays at the moment. And at that mid-20s price point, it's really worth a look at from the guys at Toolangi.
Yep, Toolangi, a beautiful spot in the Yarra Valley. Great for a little bike ride. Great for a wine as well. Anyhow, moving a long way away from the Yarra Valley in many regards, over to the Coonawarra region and the Bowen Estate Cab. Now, one of the reasons we're talking about Coonawarra this week is because last weekend, the Big Barrel Festival and a bit of a celebration for St Mary MacKillop.
That's right. There was a lot of folks in town that weekend.
Yes, a lot of people. Normally only kind of a spot that the wine lovers go to. A few people with the crosses around the neck getting down there. Hopefully they went and visited a few of the cellar doors in the region because it's a lovely spot. And I hope they all went to the Bowen cellar door because well worth visiting at the moment. Now, going back 5 or so years, a little bit tired, as a few of the Coonawarra producers might have been. And last year, the 07 of this, a little bit extracted because, look, 07 was a tough year for the Coonawarra. A lot of frost went through the region. A lot of the producers kind of, were left with only a small amount of fruit and really pushed hard to get a lot of wine out of them, which meant that, some of the bottles were a little bit harsh, a little bit tannic, a little bit over-extracted. 08 from Bowen, not like that. So, if you're looking for a decent Coonawarra cab at your low to mid-20s, this is one that should be on your list. The Bowen Cab Sab, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's great to see them back in top form. Now, moving to a wine with a fantastic name. Now, these from the guys at Choosner, and we've done a few of the Choosner wines because across their range they're doing some really great stuff, some interesting wines. This one in particular is called the Dog Strangler. Now, this is a straight varietal Mataro, or Mourvedre, depending where you're from. Now, the story behind the name is the fact that this Mataro grape has a huge number of different names it's called around the world, and one happens to be Estrangler Chien. Well, I haven't pronounced that very well because it's French. I wish Caroline was here to pronounce it for us. But translated into English, that means the dog strangler. And the idea behind that is, overseas in certain areas, this can be quite a hard grape to grow in the sense that the wines it produces by itself can be a bit unapproachable, quite dry, tannic, and if anything, need a lot of time to settle down. Now, not quite so here, because the guys over in the Barossa got some good ripening conditions and are able to pull out a straight varietal Mataro that you can actually crack open now, enjoy it with match it up with your more heavy, your red meats and dishes like that to match it up food-wise. So if you're looking for something a little bit different from a straight Shiraz or a straight Cabernet, you could do a lot worse than checking out the Dog Strangler from the guys at Choosner.
Yeah, that's a really interesting one. Not that many places doing straight versions of Mataro in Australia. The guys at Torbreck, I believe, do one, and there's a big link between Kim Choosner and the guys at Torbreck, so maybe that's where it all comes from. The one at Torbreck, very bloody expensive. That a lot more approachable in the dollars.
Absolutely.
Anyhow, that's it for this week on Wine Week. Make sure you get in touch with us. Make sure you're listening to the radio podcast and you can hear Carolyn talking French most weeks.
Yeah, a lot better than what I did. That was appalling.
Anyhow, we'll see you all again next week.
See you next week.